If your back is taking a little bit of a beating this week from some of the workouts and sitting in the car, running around for the holidays here, today's 15-minute mobility drills will be an excellent way to help open up your lower body and your back. That way, you're ready for Christmas and the holidays coming up. All you're going to need today is a foam roller, a very light kettlebell, and some sort of ball that's a little bit flat. In the honor of the Florida Gators, we got a very deflated football here. Please, no Tom Brady jokes. All right, so we're going to start by just loosening up our lower back. So let's find our way onto the ground, and we're going to do 1 minute of a cat-cow. So all we're going to do is set up with our hands and knees underneath our shoulders and hips, respectively. And we're going to gently extend at the back, looking up, and then slowly round into our flex position. And what you should notice is a small stretch of the belly as we're in this position. And as we move into our flex position, you should feel some rounding at the low back and a little stretch through the upper back as well. I know today is about the lower body, but it's nice to open up other regions as well. When we get to this flex position, I want you to take a nice deep inhale and an exhale. And same thing in our extended position. And one more time for me, guys. Nice. Now that we got our lower back nice and open, let's move on to our quads. So a lot of times when we're sitting, our rectus femoris that sits right across the knee and the hip gets really tight. And that's when we get a lot of that tipping of the pelvis. And that's what oftentimes causes some of that low back discomfort in things like deadlifts or sitting or driving. So this next one's a nice way to just prep some of that quad tissue. So grab your foam roller, and we're going to spend about a minute on each side. So what I want you to do is start at the top of the hip, and we're just going to sink into this guy. And for some of you, this might be gnarly already, and that's okay. What I want you to do is hunt down slowly down that quad until you find a space that feels a little bit more tender. And we're going to hang out here. You're going to breathe, and you're going to exhale. With all these, they should be very tender to the touch if you have a spot that needs a little work. However, there shouldn't be any sharp shooting pain down the leg. You shouldn't get numbness or tingling. You shouldn't get burning. It shouldn't be stabbing. And once you find that spot, we're going to hang out there, take some deep breaths. Really trying to sink down into that quad. And we're going to move. If you find a spot that's extra sticky, like right here on me, what I want you to do is take 2 deep inhales and exhales. And then I want you to add a little floss to it. So bring a little knee flexion in, which you can see is a little tough. I'm shaking, and relax out of that. And give me a few passes here. Great. Now that we spent about a minute on that side, let's move to the right. So again, we're going to set up near the top of the quad, and we're going to be working down the leg. I want you to stop before you hit any of that bone on your knee. You shouldn't be running over the patella here, which is that kneecap area. Should start right at the top of the hip and move right about an inch above that patella. So let's start at the top. We're going to hunt down This is my better side. I might have spoke too soon. And when you find that sticky spot, let's inhale, exhale. Nice deep inhale. I like to inhale for 4 and hold for 4. And then exhale for 4. And for me, this is a little extra sticky, so I'm going to rub back and forth. I call this scrubbing. And then when you get that spot that's, again, a little extra sticky, let's see if we can work through that just a bit. Just make one more pass here. Now with foam rolling, I use this as a way to just relax the area. This is not going to solve all your problems, but it's a good way to prep the quad, especially at the end of a workout. This is a perfect time to do this when you've just finished up or you've been sitting all day. Great way to just get the muscles relaxed. I view it as a deeper massage. Again, it should feel pretty good once you're done with this. Great. Now that we've spent a little time working on some of the local quad area, let's move into something that can help lengthen the quad. So let's bring back that mat if you have one. And let's go into a classic pose here, the world's greatest stretch. So we're going to have one leg out front, one leg trailing. Let's try to get that back leg behind that hip. So what I mean is you're going to take left knee and have it behind that left hip here. Squeezing your bottom in this position. Let's try to sink forward into that right knee. You need to put your hands on the knee, you can. Another excellent tool for this is having the foam roller. That way you can press up. You get a nice big stretch through the front of this hip. And let's play with this position while we sit here. Hunting back and forth. You can lean out to the side, shift forward. You can even scoot that front knee back. Let's not be afraid to get that right knee over that toe if we can. I'm pretty tight today from a workout we just hit. And again, we're promoting some breath in this position. So let's inhale for 4. And exhale. Let's inhale for 4 again. And exhale. Just sinking into this guy. Now let's drop that left hand to the ground now that we've got some prep time. And let's make a few windmill passes here. Touch that right hand to the inside of the foot or the ground and bring it on up as best as you can. You should feel that possibly through the left front of the leg if you're on the right side up here, and a little bit through that right glute as well. Remembering to take some deep inhale and exhales in each position. Great, and let's switch sides. And this is a real opportune time to really attune to your glutes in this position. So one of the things that's really important as we do mobility is to make sure that we actually have some control over that position. Stretching for no reason isn't the idea here. It's to find an area that needs it, either through some testing that you've done or you feel a large degree of tightness. Now, as I tell all my patients, not all tightness is necessarily short muscle, but for the sake of today, let's assume you've done some hard quad sets, leg extensions, squats, and you actually do have some short muscles from that. What I want you to do is once we're opening you up, When we get into this nice position, I want you to really try to squeeze that right glute if you have left leg up, or the opposite if you have right leg up. And see if you can actually contract. If you can't, that's a good clue in that we need to spend a little bit more time in this position over the week. Good, really delve into that there. And now let's make some windmill passes. And I'm going to pause up here and take a deep inhale, exhale. Make a couple more passes. If this is feeling too tight for you, you can just sit up like we were before. Good. And shake it out for me. All right, so we focused a little bit on the low back. We hit a little bit of the quads with both the foam roller and this world's greatest stretch we've just gone through. Now let's open up a different part of the hips. So let's break out that kettlebell we've had. And let's pop up into this 90 position. So we want this leg pointed straight to the wall on your right side. So I want you to be right foot up here. We're going to have toe completely pointed toward the wall and knee over that toe. So we want them stacked. The weight is meant to act as a counterbalance. So it's going to keep us upright here. And before we do anything, it's really important that we maintain that mind-muscle connection. So I want you to squeeze the glutes in this position. And some of you, meaning me, that has some tight adductors here, the middle part of the leg, might find it a little tough to squeeze, but let's see if we can do that. Bring the weight out if you need to be more upright. And we're going to shift into this side. And right there is a really gnarly stretch for me. So we're going to hang out 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to come back out of that. So I'm going to change the angle for you guys so you can see what's going on. And again, squeezing the glutes, shift out. Let's get 3 good passes here. Stretching the adductors and opening up some of the hips and some deeper hip flexion on that right side. Good. And give me one more, remembering to take those deep inhale and exhales when we get to that end of this range here. So we're going to go through 1 inhale and 1 exhale. And switching sides. Now, when we get into these other sides, you may find that one side's a little tighter than the other, and that's okay. We're all asymmetrical. There's not a single one of us who's completely perfect and symmetrical, so don't worry about it. That's supposed to happen. We just know we need to spend a little extra time on that side. Give us one more pass here. Squeezing the glutes, shifting out to the side. Good. Stand up if you need to, shake it out. We got 2 more things today. So we just opened up the inside part of the legs. We focused a lot on the quads today. Now let's spend a little bit of time in some deeper hip flexion positions. So those deep squatting positions that we don't often get into. So there's a couple modifications for this. I actually want to spend 2 minutes in the bottom of this squat. So what I'm actually going to do today is I'm going to take off my shoes because I want to get a little ankles involved in this too. Why not? So we're going to get into the bottom position. For me, it's going to be the bottom of the squat. And it's okay to have a little rounding in that back. We are stretching the back after all. If you need to go a little bit wider with a little toe flare, I'm okay with that. But if we want to keep those feet relatively straightforward, maybe a 15 to 20 degree angle. So a little flare in the toes. And we're going to hang out here for about 2 minutes. And I don't like to sit just static. I like to move. So we shift side to side here. And you might find one side's a little easier to sit on. That's the right side for me. And that's likely a ankle mobility thing. But some of you, it might be hip, might be low back. A great modification for this, honestly, is to grab something that's a little higher. Let's use that foam roller. And we can sit back into it, sit up for a moment, sit back down onto it. Really trying to spend time in this bottom position. Great way to open up the adductors here. A great way to just reclaim this position that we should all be able to do. It's funny, a lot of other cultures seem to have this, but we don't tend to spend much time here. We tend to sit on what looks like a standard chair. So we got about another 30-ish seconds here, just hanging out. And if you're starting to get a little fatigued here, you can always pop up and shake it out. Or if you really need to, pop up onto those toes and just let your body sink into this position. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being on your toes in this position. We don't advise this for squats with weights, but for the sake of mobility and just spending time opening up the hips here, this can be a really valuable modification at the beginning. But the goal is to have our feet nice and flat if we can. Can even use the weight as a counterbalance here. There's so many different ways to explore this position, but we're just going to hang out. Great, and pop on up. You might feel a little fatigue through the legs there. Starting to feel a little bit more open. So the last thing I'm going to share with you guys today is a 1-minute vagal breathing technique. So right where your sternum ends, you can find it right here. It's called your xiphoid process. You go just below that, you're going to have your diaphragm. That's the muscle that helps you breathe. And in that region lives some of your vagal nerve where it can help make you relax. So we have a couple of different parts to our nervous system. One of the ones is called the parasympathetic. It's controlled mainly by the vagal nerve. That tends to sit in a larger distribution in this area. So there's certain techniques that we can do that can help amplify it a little bit to help calm us down. That's why this mobility sequence is really good to do at the end of a workout, at the end of a day. So this is where we're going to break out that ball. So again, for honor of the Gator Bowl game today, we're going to use a football. What you're going to do is you're going to put that ball just below, basically on your stomach here. But we're going to be on the ground. This shouldn't cause any pain. This shouldn't stop you from breathing. If any of that happens, please stop doing what you're doing. It's not worth it. But if you can put this ball right on the stomach, you can breathe. There's no pain. It might feel a little odd if you've never done this. And we're just going to get into a nice relaxed position here. Hand on the head on the hands if you can. And you're going to take a deep belly breath. And what you're going to see is my back also rising here into the ball. So we're going to inhale for 4. You're going to hold for 4. And you're going to breathe out. Letting that ball sink right into that belly there. Just mobilizing some of those ab muscles. Starting to stimulate that vagal nerve, which activates our parasympathetic, which means we're going to get nice and relaxed. That's our relaxed part of the nervous system, our rest and digest. Great, so we're going to inhale again. And we're going to exhale. And at your own pace, we're going to go through 5 of those. I want you to pop on up and shake it out. That's a great one before bed, especially if you're having some trouble going to sleep. This is one of my favorites if I'm a little bit more wired after a long day or a workout. Well, thank you guys for joining this quick 15-minute lower body mobility. Our low back and our lower body should be nice and loose from the day. Try to do this 2 to 3 times a week. It's a great way to relax at the end of the day as well. As always, live long and be strong.